On the morning of May 2nd, 2025, in a corner of Nova Scotia so remote there's no cell phone service, a mother called 911. Her daughter Lily was 6 years old. She loved the color pink. She talked to her dolls like they were real. Her son Jack was 4. He searched for bugs under every rock. His family called him Jackie Boy. That morning, both children vanished from their trailer, slipped out, their stepfather believed, through a silent sliding door into the forest. That was 9 months ago. Despite one of the largest searches in Nova Scotia history, 160 volunteers, cadaver dogs, underwater teams, drones that can detect body heat, not a single trace of those children has been found.
My heart tells me these babies are gone.
This case will not go cold. We will continually grind through the information.
And the question that haunts everyone who looks at this case isn't just where did Lilly and Jack go? It's whether anyone will ever tell the truth about what happened that morning. To understand what was lost, you have to understand who they were. Lilly Sullivan was 6 years old. She was, as her stepfather described her, fond of girly things, pink everything, dolls, dress up. But she also followed her little brother everywhere. Jack was 4, turning 5 that October. His family called him Jackie Boy. He loved dinosaurs. He loved bugs. He'd turn over every rock in the yard looking for worms. In the backyard of their trailer, the children had their own little world. A chicken coop they'd visit every day, a fence that kept them safe. And beyond that fence, up over a steep embankment, the forest, where they'd built a small fort beneath the spruce boughs, their own secret place. Lansdowne Station sits about 140 kilometers northeast of Halifax in Pictou County, population roughly 100 people. It's the kind of place where there's no cell phone service, where many of the families have been here for generations, where everyone knows everyone and everyone's business. A journalist who visited described it as being like American Appalachia, once prosperous from mining, now economically stagnant. 1 in 5 children in Pictou County lives in poverty. The Sullivan children live with their mother, their stepfather, and their baby sister in a trailer on Gairloch Road. The property belonged to their step-grandmother, who lived in a camper nearby. Surrounded by woods, steep banks, thick brush. The kind of place where if you wandered too far, you might never find your way back. The children's mother was Malaya Brooks Murray, 27 years old, a member of the Supnekinikat First Nation, one of the largest Mi'kmaq communities in Nova Scotia. She'd moved to this property in 2023 with her new partner, Daniel Martel. Martel was 34, worked at a local hardwood mill. He became stepfather to Lilly and Jack. Together, they had a baby girl, Meadow, who was about 16 months old in May 2025. The children's biological father was Cody Sullivan. He and Malaya had split 3 years earlier. By May 2025, Cody hadn't seen Lilly or Jack in years. He was living with his mother, Belinda Gray, after losing his job. That was the world of Lilly and Jack Sullivan. A trailer in the woods, a mother, a stepfather, a baby sister, a biological father they hadn't seen in years, a grandmother who missed them. And then came May 2025. Tuesday, April 29th was the last day Lilly and Jack attended Salt Springs Elementary. Lilly was in pre-primary. Jack was in primary. Wednesday was a professional development day, no school. According to police records, the family went grocery shopping together that evening, arriving home by 10:19 p.m. Thursday, the children were kept home from school. According to their stepfather, Lilly had a cough. That afternoon, the family drove to nearby New Glasgow, about 30 kilometers away. At 2:25 p.m., all 5 of them were captured on surveillance video inside a Dollarama. This would be the last time Lilly and Jack Sullivan were seen alive outside their home. That night, according to their mother, the children were put to bed around 9 p.m. She later changed this to 10 p.m. in a subsequent statement to police. Lilly was wearing pink, a sweater, pajamas, a Barbie top. Her backpack with strawberries sat beside her bed. Jack was in sweatpants and a t-shirt, still wearing his pull-up diaper. Daniel Martel stayed up after Malaya went to bed. She told police she didn't know what time he came to bed that night. And then came the morning. At 6:15 a.m. on Friday, May 2nd, Malaya Brooks Murray marked both children absent from school. For the second day in a row, Lilly was listed as sick. According to both parents, sometime that morning, they were in the bedroom with baby Meadow. They could hear the children. Lilly came in and out of the bedroom several times. Jack could be heard in the kitchen. And then, silence. When the parents noticed the quiet, they checked on the children. The boots were gone. Lily's pink boots, Jack's blue dinosaur boots. A wrench that Daniel had placed on top of the front door was undisturbed. They concluded the children must have gone out the back, through the sliding glass door. At 10:01 a.m., Malaya Brooks Murray called 911. She reported that her children had wandered away from home. She told the operator that both children were possibly autistic and known to roam. RCMP officers arrived 26 minutes later. The search for Lilly and Jack Sullivan had begun. Within hours, Lansdowne Station was transformed. More than 100 searchers descended on the area. Helicopters circled overhead. Drones equipped with thermal imaging scanned the treetops. Ground search and rescue teams from across Nova Scotia formed grid lines, pushing through brush so thick you had to climb over fallen trees and crawl under branches. At 12:25 p.m., the RCMP issued a public statement. At this point, they believed the children had wandered away from home. There was, they said, no evidence of abduction. As searchers combed the forest, they found something. A boot print, child-sized, found near a pipeline trail close to Gerlach Road, not far from the railroad tracks. It matched the type of boot Lilly was wearing. Then, around 4 p.m., family members searching in the woods made another discovery. A pink blanket, less than a mile from the children's home. Family members confirmed it belonged to Lilly, her LOL doll blanket that she used to drag around. For a moment, it seemed like they were on the right track. The children had wandered into the woods. They'd find them. But for every clue they found, a dozen questions emerged. A police dog walked about a kilometer from where the blanket was found. It picked up no scent. The search area would eventually span 8.5 square kilometers, more than 2,000 acres of some of the most difficult terrain in Nova Scotia. As night fell on May 2nd, the children had been missing for at least 8 hours. Temperatures were dropping, and Lilly and Jack were still out there, somewhere. By morning, the searchers would return. The helicopters would fly again. The volunteers would push through the brush once more. But as the hours turned to days, the hope began to fade. While Daniel Martel collapsed into bed, exhausted from searching, Malaya Brooks Murray was awake, and she made a call. At 12:45 a.m., just hours into the search, she called police with a new theory. Maybe, she suggested, the children's biological father had taken them. Cody Sullivan, the man she'd split from 3 years earlier, the man who hadn't seen his children since. Cody Sullivan told police he hadn't seen Lilly or Jack in 3 years. He was home in Nova Scotia. He hadn't taken them anywhere. By May 3rd, the number of searchers had grown to over 100. The Nova Scotia Premier released a statement. Dogs, drones, ground search teams from 9 different organizations. By May 4th, the number of searchers peaked at 160. On May 4th, investigators made another discovery, another piece of Lilly's pink blanket. But this one wasn't found in the woods. It was found in a garbage bag at the end of the family's driveway. According to Malaya, she had thrown the blanket away about a week before the children disappeared. Daniel had been using it to stop a draft around the door. A piece was already missing when she threw it out. But if the blanket was thrown away a week before, how did a piece of it end up in the woods on the day the children vanished? The answer to that question would remain unclear, just one of many things about this case that didn't quite add up. By day 5, the search had covered 5.5 square kilometers. Hundreds of searchers had given thousands of hours. They had evidence, the blanket, the boot print. The theory made sense. 2 young children, possibly autistic, known to roam, had wandered out the back door into the forest. Tragic, but explainable. The kind of thing that happens in rural areas. All they had to do was find them. On May 7th, the RCMP made an announcement that no one wanted to hear. The massive search was over. But there was something worse than the announcement itself. In 5 days of searching, 8.5 square kilometers of forest, they hadn't found bodies. The underwater recovery team searched bodies of water around Lansdowne Station. Nothing. If Lilly and Jack had wandered into those woods and died of exposure, where were they? Why hadn't the dogs found them? Why hadn't anyone found anything beyond a blanket and a boot print? 5 days of searching, 160 volunteers, helicopters, drones, dogs, 8.5 square kilometers of forest combed inch by inch. And at the end of it all, a piece of blanket that was supposedly thrown away, a boot print, and 2 children who had vanished as completely as if they had never existed. But the search for answers was just beginning. 10 days after Lilly and Jack vanished, the RCMP shifted focus. If the children hadn't wandered into the woods, what really happened that morning? On May 12th, both parents were administered polygraph examinations. According to court documents later released to the media, both Malaya Brooks Murray and Daniel Martel's polygraph results indicated they were being truthful. But polygraphs aren't not infallible. They're not admissible in Canadian courts. They're an investigative tool, not proof of innocence. An RCMP investigator wrote in the court documents, "At this point in the investigation, Jack and Lily's disappearance is not believed to be criminal in nature. I do not have reasonable grounds to believe a criminal offense has occurred." The polygraph may have indicated truthfulness, but other details were beginning to raise questions. In her initial statement to police, Malaya says she put the children to bed at 9 p.m. on May 1st. In a later statement, she changed that time to 10 p.m. She also told police she didn't know what time Daniel came to bed that night. By May 6th, just 4 days after the children disappeared, Malaya had left the property. She blocked Daniel on social media. The relationship was over. And then there was the phone call. At 12:45 a.m. on May 3rd, while Daniel slept, Malaya called police to suggest that the children's biological father might have taken them. Why did the mother immediately point at the biological father? And why did the relationship collapse so quickly after the children vanished? While the ground search had been scaled back, the investigation was far from over. The RCMP's Northeast Nova Scotia Major Crime Unit was just getting started. Between May 16 and July 16th, investigators filed 12 search warrants. They sought phone records, banking records, GPS data, and surveillance footage. They analyzed a wireless router in the home to see who connected to the internet and when. They discovered that Malaya used an app called Text Plus to make calls to her mother and grandmother after the children went missing, and that she later deleted the app, telling police she didn't need it anymore. Every digital footprint, every financial transaction, every phone call. The investigation was methodical, exhaustive, and increasingly focused on the household. Daniel Martel was 34 years old when Lilly and Jack disappeared. He'd been living with their mother for nearly 2 years. By all accounts, he was the most visible figure in the aftermath. He spoke to media repeatedly. He searched the woods until his throat hurt to screaming their names. He volunteered for a polygraph. He provided DNA samples voluntarily. But as investigators dug deeper, a more complicated picture emerged. In court documents released in August of 2025, details from police interviews with Malaya Brooks Murray painted a different picture of the household. According to those documents, Malaya told police that Daniel would try to block her, hold her down, and once he pushed her. Martel has publicly admitted to past drug use, including methamphetamines, and, in his words, pretty much everything. He insists he doesn't have a drug problem. After the disappearance, he began attending Narcotics Anonymous 3 times a week and taking online courses in anger management, parenting, and substance abuse. Malaya Brooks Murray was 27 years old when her children vanished, a member of the Sipnickatic First Nation, a stay-at-home mother. And, unlike Daniel Martel, she has remained almost entirely silent. She gave one brief statement to media on May 3rd. After that, she declined nearly all interview requests. When reporters call, she says no comment. Her father, Henry Brooks, a member of Sipnickatic First Nation, has said that Malaya had been trying to leave Daniel Martel for months before the children disappeared. A relative named Connie Brooks told reporters that Malaya had confided in her that Daniel would sometimes restrain her and take her phone. She passed her polygraph test. She cooperated with the investigation, but she also made that midnight phone call pointing at the biological father. She changed her timeline for when the children went to bed, and she left Daniel within days of the disappearance.
Is Malaya a grieving mother who was trapped in a bad relationship? Or does her silence hide something more?
Without her speaking publicly, we may never know. Cody Sullivan was 29 years old, Lilly and Jack's biological father. He'd been in a relationship with Malaya for about 3 years before they split. But when Malaya filed for sole custody, Cody walked away. By May 2025, Cody hadn't seen his children in 3 years. He'd lost his job 9 months earlier. He was living with his mother. Police visited him at 2:50 a.m. on May 3rd. He wasn't a suspect for long. His polygraph on June 12th found him truthful. He was home in Nova Scotia on the day his children vanished. He didn't take them. Janie McKenzie is Daniel Martel's mother. She owned the property where the family lived, and she lived there too, in a camper in the driveway about 50 feet from the trailer. According to reports, she moved to the camper because the children were too noisy in the main house. On June 10th, she was given a polygraph test. The result was inconclusive. Her physiology was not suitable for analysis, and no opinion was rendered. What, if anything, did the step-grandmother see or hear on the morning of May 2nd? In the months after the disappearance, court documents revealed something that hadn't been publicly known. 2 neighbors reported hearing vehicles that night. Brad Wong told police he heard a loud vehicle coming and going from the family's home 5 or 6 times during the early morning hours of May 2nd. Justin Smith said he was awake on Facebook around 1:30 a.m. when he heard a car on Highway 289 turning around near the railroad tracks, the same area where the boot print was later found. According to the documents, Smith later spoke with Brad Wong, who told him Daniel's vehicle came and went 5 or 6 times that night. The RCMP conducted a thorough review of surveillance footage from the Gerlach Road area. Their conclusion? No evidence of any vehicle activity at that time. The witnesses heard something, but cameras captured nothing. There was another witness, one who claimed to have seen the children themselves. Natasha Haywood told police she was driving with her sons on the morning of May 2nd, between 9:30 and 10 a.m. She reported seeing 2 children walking along the side of the road toward what she described as a tan or gold sedan. The direction she reported, northeast, toward Westville, the opposite direction from where the boot print and blanket were found. If Haywood really saw Lilly and Jack, were they walking towards someone? Were they being picked up? As of the latest court documents, the RCMP was still working to determine if the children Haywood saw were actually Lilly and Jack Sullivan. In June 2025, the Globe and Mail broke a story that added a disturbing new dimension to the case. Nova Scotia's Child Protection Agency had investigated the Sullivan children months before they disappeared. According to the reports, concerns had been raised by someone at the children's school. A social worker had visited the home. But other details painted a more troubling picture. A school board employee with direct knowledge told the Globe and Mail that the children were developmentally behind other children. They arrived at school grubby and without appropriate winter clothing, prompting staff to provide clothing for them. And then there were the photographs. A first day of school photo from September 2024 appeared to show Jack with bruising on his face. A photo from a school field trip on December 13, 2024 showed Jack with a visible black eye, a green and purple bruise below his left eye. What did Child Protective Services know? What did the school report? And could those answers have changed what happened? By early July, the RCMP had administered polygraph tests to 6 people connected to the case. 5 indicated truthfulness. 1 was inconclusive. None indicated deception. For a moment, it seemed like the investigation might have hit a dead end. If everyone was telling the truth, what happened to those children? As summer turned to fall, the RCMP maintained their position. This was a missing persons case, not a criminal investigation. In court filings, an investigator wrote, "I do not have reasonable grounds to believe a criminal offense has occurred. Because Jack and Lilly are still missing, polygraph examinations were conducted with the intention of ruling out that possibility. No suspects, no criminal charges, no bodies, and increasingly, no answers." If everyone passed their polygraphs and there's no evidence of a crime, why can't anyone find 2 children who vanished from an 8.5 square kilometer search area? On June 19th, the Nova Scotia government made an announcement. The disappearance of Lilly and Jack Sullivan was being added to the province's major unsolved crimes program. A reward of up to $150,000 would be offered for information of investigative value. The message was clear. Nova Scotia was taking this seriously. Someone, somewhere, knew something. And now there was an incentive to come forward. Tips poured in, over 700, then 800, then 1,000. Investigators followed up on every credible lead. And still, Lilly and Jack Sullivan remained missing. The reward went unclaimed. The truth stayed buried. In August 2025, media outlets including CBC News, the Globe and Mail, and the Canadian Press successfully applied for the release of previously sealed court documents. What they revealed changed the public understanding of this case. According to those documents, Malaya Brooks Murray had told police that Daniel Martel was physically abusive toward her, that he would try to block her, hold her down, and once he pushed her. Family members corroborated elements of this. Connie Brooks, a relative from Sipnakatic First Nation, told reporters that Malaya had confided in her that Daniel would sometimes restrain her and take her phone. Malaya's father, Henry Brooks, said that his daughter had been trying to leave Martel for months before the children vanished. Martel has consistently denied any physical abuse. He says their arguments were normal relationship conflicts, ups and downs that happen in relationships. The photographs of Jack Sullivan became a focal point of public concern. In his first day of school photo from September 2024, Jack appeared to have bruising on his face. In a photo from a field trip on December 13, 2024, just 5 months before he disappeared, Jack had a visible black eye. In private Facebook messages shared with the Globe and Mail, Daniel Martel acknowledged that Jack had many black eyes. He also claimed that Lilly had a black eye on May 1st, the day before the children vanished, from an incident with a Tonka truck. By late summer 2025, the 2 people who should have been united in finding their children were completely estranged. Malaya Brooks Murray had left. She wasn't speaking to Daniel. She wasn't speaking to media. Her baby, Meadow, was in the care of Child Protective Services. Daniel Martel was alone on the property in Lansdowne, on stress leave from his job at the mill, fielding dirty looks from community members who suspected the worst. Let's go back to the blanket, the only physical evidence that seemed to connect the children to the woods. According to Malaya, Lily's LOL doll blanket had been thrown away about a week before the disappearance. Daniel had been using it to stop a draft around the door. She threw it out because the weather was getting nicer. If the blanket was thrown away a week before, how did a piece end up in the woods on the day the children disappeared? Did Lilly retrieve it from the trash that morning, attached to something she loved? Or was it placed there by someone else to create a trail leading into the forest? The boot print found near the pipeline trail, close to the railroad tracks, matched the type of boot Lilly was wearing. But here's what's strange. Natasha Haywood reported seeing children walking in the opposite direction, toward Westville to the northeast. The boot print was found to the southwest. If the children walked toward Westville, why was the boot print found the other way? Unless someone wanted searchers looking in the wrong direction. 8.5 square kilometers searched, 160 volunteers, helicopters, drones, dogs, underwater teams. And what did they find? In cases where children wander into the woods and perish from exposure, searchers typically find something: a body, clothing, a trail, something. Lilly and Jack Sullivan left behind almost nothing, as if they were never in those woods at all. Belinda Gray, Lilly and Jack's paternal grandmother, had been searching for answers since the beginning. She'd spent hours in the woods calling their names. She'd watched the investigation unfold, and she'd grown increasingly frustrated with the lack of answers. In August 2025, she called publicly for an inquiry, demanding that Child Protective Services and the RCMP explain what they knew before and after the children vanished. While the search for Lilly and Jack continued, another child's fate was being decided. Baby Meadow, the 16-month-old daughter of Maliha and Daniel, was taken into the care of Child Protective Services shortly after the disappearance. Martel said he went to the CPS office in Stellarton asking to see his daughter. He was denied. By the fall of 2025, he only had supervised visits with Meadow. He'd lost his stepchildren. Now he was losing access to his biological daughter too. As months passed without answers, public frustration turned toxic. Online speculation ran rampant. Theories proliferated. Accusations flew. People who'd never met the family declared their certainty about what had happened. The chief of Sigmekiki First Nation released a statement asking the community to refrain from jumping to conclusions or sharing unverified information, as this can complicate the efforts of the multiple agencies involved. He said community members gave him dirty looks. He was tried and convicted in the court of public opinion, even as the RCMP maintained there were no suspects. But the damage was done. The community was shattered, and still no one could find Lilly and Jack. In October 2025, 5 months after Lilly and Jack vanished, the RCMP brought in cadaver dogs, animals specially trained to detect the scent of human remains. If the children had died in those woods, from exposure, from injury, from anything, these dogs would find them. The search was thorough, methodical, hopeful in a terrible way, because finding remains would at least mean finding answers. The RCMP announced their findings. The cadaver dogs did not locate human remains. Think about what this means. 8.5 square kilometers of forest searched by 160 volunteers, helicopters, drones, regular dogs, cadaver dogs, underwater teams. And what did they find? In cases where children wander into the woods and perish from exposure, searchers typically find something: a body, clothing, a trail, something. Lilly and Jack Sullivan left behind almost nothing, as if they were never in those woods at all. As 2025 drew to a close, Lilly and Jack Sullivan had been missing for 8 months. Jack turned 5 in October. He wasn't there to celebrate. Christmas came and went. The RCMP gave a year-end interview to Global News, and then he made a promise. And then, in January 2026, something did change. As 2026 began, Lilly and Jack Sullivan had been missing for 9 months. The RCMP investigation continued. The reward remained unclaimed. And then, a new development. On January 17, 2026, Daniel Martel was arrested and charged with 3 criminal offenses: sexual assault, and forcible confinement. But before speculation could spread, the RCMP made something clear. The charges involved an adult. They stemmed from incidents in October and November 2025, months after the children vanished. They were, according to police, unrelated. Martel was released on conditions. He pleaded not guilty. As of February 2026, those charges are before the courts. Despite Martel's arrest on unrelated charges, the investigation into the children's disappearance remained separate. and active. The RCMP's Northeast Nova Major Crime Unit has managed over 1,050 tips, completed more than 1,340 investigative tasks, conducted over 75 formal interviews, reviewed more than 8,000 video files. They've executed 12 search warrants, administered 6 polygraph tests, coordinated ground searches, aerial searches, underwater searches, and cadaver dog operations. And still, after 9 months, they have not found Lilly and Jack Sullivan. Let's examine what might have happened to Lilly and Jack Sullivan. Theory 1. Wandered into the woods. The children left through the back door early on May 2nd, entered the forest, became lost, and died from exposure. Evidence supporting this theory. This was the initial theory, and it makes surface sense. The mother told 911 the children were known to roam. Both were described as possibly autistic. A boot print matching Lily's was found near the property. A piece of Lily's blanket was found in the woods. The children had a fort area they'd built in the trees. Problems with this theory. But there are significant problems. 8.5 square kilometers searched by 160 volunteers. No bodies found. Cadaver dogs brought in October 2025. No human remains detected. Police dogs found no scent trail leading into the woods. Underwater teams searched nearby water. Nothing found. No clothing, personal items, or other evidence located beyond blanket and print. If 2 young children died in that forest, why can't anyone find them? In 9 months of searching, with dogs trained to detect human remains, how did they vanish so completely? If they wandered and died in the woods, where are the bodies? Theory 2. Abduction by unknown person. The children were taken from the property by someone, possibly a stranger, possibly someone known to the family. Evidence supporting this theory. Natasha Haywood reported seeing 2 children walking toward a tan gold sedan. Neighbors reported hearing vehicles coming and going during the night. The lack of remains in the search area suggests that children may not be there. The biological father was initially suspected. Problems with this theory. RCMP reviewed surveillance footage, found no evidence of any vehicle activity. No confirmed sightings of any stranger in the area. The area is extremely isolated. Strangers would be noticed. Cody Sullivan, biological father, passed polygraph and had alibi. RCMP stated early on, no evidence of abduction. On the day the children were reported missing, the RCMP said publicly there was no evidence of abduction. 9 months later, that assessment has not changed. If someone took these children, who? And how did they leave no trace? Theory 3. Foul play by someone in the household. The children were harmed by someone in the home, and the disappearance was staged to look like they wandered away. This is the theory that has dominated public speculation, and there are reasons why. Photos showing Jack with black eyes, September 2024, December 2024. CPS was investigating the family before the disappearance. Court documents reveal allegations of domestic abuse. The blanket, supposedly thrown away a week before, found in the woods. The parents' relationship collapsed within days of disappearance. Vehicles heard at night, but no surveillance evidence. The complete absence of remains despite extensive searches. But speculation is not evidence, and here's what we know. Both parents passed polygraphs. RCMP has not classified this as a criminal investigation. No arrests have been made in connection with the disappearance. No charges have been filed related to the children. Investigators wrote, not believed to be criminal in nature. Without bodies, without direct evidence, without witnesses, this theory, like the others, remains unproven. If foul play occurred, where is the evidence, and why haven't police made arrests? The truth is, we don't know what happened to Lilly and Jack Sullivan. We have theories, we have suspicions, we have questions, but we don't have answers. Someone, somewhere, knows. And until they come forward, 2 children remain missing. After 9 months, these are the questions that remain unanswered. How did 2 children vanish from an 8.5 square kilometer search area without leaving remains? If the blanket was thrown away a week before, how did a piece end up in the woods on May 2nd? What did the neighbors really hear that night? Whose vehicles were coming and going? Did Natasha Haywood see Lilly and Jack? And if so, who were they walking toward? What did Child Protective Services know about this family? What were they investigating? Why did the mother immediately point at the biological father? And why did she leave Daniel within days? How did Jack get those black eyes? Were they childhood accidents or something more? If both parents pass their polygraphs and there's no evidence of abduction, what does that leave? And the question that haunts everyone who looks at this case: where are Lilly and Jack Sullivan? Someone knows the answer. They may be watching this right now. If you know something, anything about what happened to these children, there is a way to help. Before they became a case number, before they became headlines, before they became the subject of speculation and theories, Lilly and Jack Sullivan were children. Lilly was 6 years old. She loved pink. Pink clothes, pink blankets, pink everything. She talked to her dolls like they were real. She followed her little brother everywhere. Jack was 4, turning 5 in October. His family called him Jackie Boy. He loved dinosaurs. He searched for bugs under every rock. He was curious about everything. They were members of the Siksikatik First Nation, one of the largest Mi'kmaq communities in Nova Scotia. They had heritage, they had family, they had a future. Whatever happened to Lilly and Jack Sullivan, they deserved better. They deserved protection. They deserved to grow up. Belinda Gray, their paternal grandmother, has spent 9 months searching for answers. She wants answers. She deserves answers. Lilly and Jack deserve answers. This case is not closed. The investigation is active, and you might be the person who provides the tip that brings Lilly and Jack home. The province of Nova Scotia has offered a reward of up to $150,000 for information of investigative value. If you have any information, no matter how small it seems, call. You can remain anonymous. Crime Stoppers does not ask for your name. Someone watching this knows something. Be that person who makes the call. The RCMP has promised not to give up. They're asking for your help to keep that promise. Somewhere beneath these trees, or somewhere far beyond them, the truth about Lilly and Jack Sullivan is waiting to be found. A 6-year-old girl who loved pink, a 4-year-old boy who loved dinosaurs, missing May 2nd, 2025. They had names, they had personalities, they had people who loved them, and they deserved to be found. Until someone tells the truth, this case remains open. Until someone comes forward, 2 families remain without answers. Until someone speaks, Lilly and Jack remain missing. If you have any information about the disappearance of Lilly and Jack Sullivan, please call the Pictou County District RCMP at 902-485-4333 or Nova Scotia Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS.